Hello students and welcome to my next class, and in today's class I'm trying to explain you abdominal hysterectomy. And today's class on abdominal hysterectomy, I've tried to include it via first of all the diagrams so that you're able to understand the procedure, the step-by-step procedure, where to first place the clamps, which structures are to be taken at which particular step, and this will be followed up with a live surgery in which I'll try to demonstrate every step in a live surgery so as to emboss the concept of abdominal hysterectomy on you. So without wasting any further time, let me first begin with how it is proceeded forward. So abdominal hysterectomy, first of all, of course, you know this particular thing that in case of a subtotal hysterectomy, you do not take the cervical area. So can you see here? This is the body of the uterus. So supracervical hysterectomy is this portion. Then comes, if you're taking the cervix up, then it is called as the total hysterectomy. Now, in what cases will you do only supracervical hysterectomy? Is probably in cases of hysterectomy done in cesarean sections, in which it is very difficult for you to, separate the bladder from the cervix, placenta creta, and those kind of cases. So in that life-saving measure, you will do the supracervical hysterectomy. Or in other cases, maybe in carcinomas, in which it is the lower segment is smudged with the surrounding structures, because you see this area usually you will find free, the supracervical area, but this area becomes, you have very close proximity bladder here, you have bowel at the back, so if there are any adhesions, you can remove the the supracervical area. Of course, this blue area are the cornual structures, that is the tube and the ovary. All right, so if they are also removed along with it, that's called as bilateral salpingo-oophorectomy. So this is the first step. Now let's talk about the first step of hysterectomy, which is the round ligament ligation. So they are taut structures which you can easily identify, as you can see in the diagram. You can easily identify the round ligament. All you have to do is you have to pick it up by a clamp. There is another clamp which is applied over here. You have to cut it and then ligate it. That is the best method. Okay, they're not showing it properly here, but you have to cut it and you have to ligate it. Both sides. First of all, you take up the round ligament. So that is the first structure of which is clamped, cut and ligated in an abdominal hysterectomy. Once this has been, the round ligament has been cut, this area, can you see the peritoneum? It's very easy to delineate the borders of the peritoneum, and it's very easy to cut the peritoneum. What you can see is actually opening the two leaves of broad ligament, which finally get into the removal of the peritoneum from the anterior part of the uterus and also on the bladder. So it's nothing but opening the broad ligament anteriorly. If you're cutting, you're first of all separating it from the plane, and then you're cutting it across so that no structure comes in between. So you are opening the leaf of broad ligament. Of course, then is followed by the peritoneal incision. What they've shown here is a peritoneal incision towards the lateral side. We usually don't do that. We as gynecologists do not go towards the lateral side. You should not go. Stick to the uterus. That's the norm of abdominal hysterectomy. All kind of hysterectomies. Vaginal hysterectomy, laparoscopic hysterectomy, abdominal hysterectomy, open hysterectomy. You have to stick to the uterus. Be as close to the uterus as possible. So this they're trying to show, because I'll just show you the next slide. They're trying to identify the ureter identification. So can you see this part over here? It goes inside a tunnel, The ureter you can see from here. It goes inside the tunnel over here, and then it supplies the bladder. So it's very difficult, unless you go laterally to delineate the ureter. You cannot identify it, and stay away from the ureter as much as possible. The most dangerous structure which you can hurt during your abdominal hysterectomy. Of course, it is very close to the uterine area. When we reach there, I'll just tell you. There is one more lecture of mine on the ureter, proximity to the uterus, and I think you should see that, because in that case I tell you everything regarding how to balance out your uterine pedicle when ureter is in close proximity. So you should know about the anatomy as well. Now the third step, the second most important step comes. The second most important clamps will come. The step, of course, is the other one, but now the clamping is coming, or the second thing. First was round ligament was clamped, cut and ligated. Now the second thing is coming up. What you have to do for that is, once you've done this, the two folds of broad ligament, you've tried to, delineate them. You create a window. Can you see this? You create a window in the posterior peritoneum or the posterior flap of the broad ligament. And why do you do that? Is now the second slide will tell you. Because over here is the infundibulopelvic ligament and over here is the ovarian ligament. So if you are taking away, that means if you're removing the ovary, that is if you're doing oophorectomy, as you can see in the slide, if you're doing oophorectomy, you have to clamp over here, the infundibulopelvic ligament, and then you cut from here and then you ligate it here. Mind you that ligation regarding, the transfixation of sutures, everything I'll be discussing in my next class. This, can you see over here? Can you appreciate that? This is your ureter, beautifully seen over here. This is how it looks. And it is that away from your uterine artery. If you've done, of course, if you've rotated the uterus the other side. Otherwise, if you keep it straight, it's just right here. So until and unless you've, given the traction towards the other side, you are quite close to the ureter and you might just take it in the snip that you provide when you're putting the clamps at the uterine artery. So anyways, right now we were talking about the infundibulopelvic ligament transection. We've done that, and very beautifully we can also see the ureter over here. This is exactly how it looks during your hysterectomy, during your, of course, if you do the peritoneal transection properly. All right, then, so this was about when you're removing the ovary, you're doing the oophorectomy. And now we'll see how does it look if you're doing ovarian conservation. So you have to apply the clamp over here. Can you see the cornual structures out here? So you have to apply the two clamps. This looks like this is of course the round ligament. This one is the round ligament. But this over here looks like there was already a, tubal ligation done before, probably because the tube is cut over here. So this is the ovarian ligament and you're trying to transect that uterovarian ligament, and this is for, you want to keep the uterus. Keep the ovary, you cut over here and then you ligate over here. And now can you appreciate the step from one round to the other round is what you do, that you kind of cut this peritoneum from one round ligament to the other round ligament. Obviously this side's surgery will be already has been done up till now, as I have probably demonstrated the right side, so is done on the left side. And once you've transected the round ligament from this side, you have to make a peritoneal incision from this round ligament to that round ligament. And once you reflect this peritoneum, as you can see over here, this part is the bladder stuck to the lower segment of the uterus, which you've tried to, with the help of peanut, with the help of mounted, you've tried to separate from the lower uterine segment slowly. So because the next step, they've not shown the separation of the bladder. What they've done is they've tried to skeletonize the uterine arteries. How do they do that? They do that by slowly cutting the posterior flap of the broad ligament, the posterior flap. And they are skeletonizing the uterine artery. You can do that with cautery, you can do that with cold scissors, you can do that with anything. It should not bleed. That's the main motive. Now they are clamping the uterine artery. So this is the clamp across the uterine artery. Slowly you cut this too using a scalpel, or you can use a scissor, but you have to make a pedicle. That's very important. In the next class, I'll show you how to transfix the sutures, transfix the pedicle. And right now, I'm just trying to make you understand the levels at which you're going. So first was round ligament, second was your infundibulopelvic ligament or the ovarian ligament. And now comes the third pedicle, which is the uterine artery. So this is your third pedicle. You've secured the uterine artery. This is the most important because it bleeds like anything. So you have to be very, very sure when you're taking the uterine artery. Of course, because we are talking about a hysterectomy, the left side is going parallel. And the final, the final clamp has to be placed on the uterosacral ligament. It is difficult at your stage to understand the uterosacral ligament, but you'll have to palpate it When I just demonstrate the live surgery, I'll be able to tell you better how do you palpate it. In fact, I have chosen a video. I went through a lot of videos which were there originally. I tried to make my own video, but the light effect was not proper, so I don't think it is justifiable for me to demonstrate that, because as students you need to get the best surgery possible in front of you to understand each and every step, especially these 2-3 steps. When how to delineate the ureter from the uterine artery, how to place the clamp on the uterine artery, and most important, how to identify the uterosacral ligaments. So it's like a fan shaped from behind. Okay, so this is what you can see out here. I can show you, this is the uterosacral ligament. It's like a fan shape like this. I won't say it's over here also, but yes, a part of uterosacral ligament is very taut. So once you lift the ureter, the uterus, by these 2 clamps, you have to just lift the uterus. So automatically it gets taut. You can see the borders. Until unless, of course, in pouch of Douglas you have adhesions, or the rectosigmoid colon is sitting right there, it is easy to identify the uterosacral ligament. And you place a clamp fanning from here to right in front of the uterus, and the same thing you do from the other side. And then you start cutting through the uterus using a scalpel. And this is how it looks like. When you've cut the uterus, you've delivered the uterus, this is how it looks like. So this is actually uterosacral along with vaginal cuff. Of course, it's not that simple. It doesn't look exactly like that when you're doing the live surgery. It's slightly more of a span, and you cannot just, take a clamp through and through. But yes, of course, you can keep a clamp over here on the uterosacrals, take the uterosacral separately, and then take the angles of the vaginal cuff. So that will be the 5th, part. Uterosacrals was the 4th, and now we've gone on to the vaginal vault angles. So they are also very important, because a part of uterine artery, and more important is uterine vein, they drain over here. So if you've not taken the vaginal angles, the vault angles properly, including the vaginal mucosa properly, it will lead to either bleeding or a lot of discharge post hysterectomy, and you want to avoid that, obviously. So this was the last step in which you take the vaginal vault. They've tried to show you the circumferential vaginal incision through which you've taken out the uterus, and now you're finally closing the vaginal cuff along with taking the uterosacrals along with it. The uterosacral ligament has to be incorporated when you're taking the vaginal cuff. Reason is vault prolapse. To avoid vault prolapse, this is the step which you have to incorporate. It's been running on from a long time. All your old professors would be teaching you this thing, and nevertheless there is importance of that, because those people who are not doing it, it's a very simple procedure, it's a very simple step, but those people who forget doing it or who've not been doing it into practice, they have seen a lot of patients who come back with vault prolapse, especially those patients in which it was done earlier in life. So with this, I finished the steps of abdominal hysterectomy. I am now going to take up very soon the live surgery. So just stay tuned for that.